Morning, everybody. I thank Vikesh and Ramesh for the lovely introduction. I'm very honored and humbled to present this oration. I thank the Executive Committee of IAPS for having considered me worthy of delivering this oration. I also thank the organizers for facilitating this. Professor M.S. Ramakrishnan is a legend not only in our part of the country but across India and abroad. He was the person who he was the person who started institutions and made many pediatric surgeons their life, their careers. He started the Department of Pediatric Surgery in 1964 at Madras Medical College. It moved to its present premises in 1965. He started the MCH Pediatric Surgery course and headed the department till 1981 when he superannuated. And when he finished, he started the Child's Trust Hospital in a small way, which has now grown to be one of the biggest private pediatric care institutions in the country, that is now known as the Kanchi Kamakoti Child's Trust Hospital. I'm very fortunate that I am associated with both institutions. I head the institution which he created and headed for so many years. I am honored to head that department today for many years now, and also for the fact that I am most of my hypospadias repair happen at Kanchi Kamakoti. In Tamil Nadu government, we allow private practice. So most of my major cases are being done there at Kanchi, at the institute which he started. He has been the president of IAPS, Professor MSR, as we fondly call him, in two terms in the early 70s. And he also had the honor of being the president of the Association of Surgeons of India in the late 70s. Professor Ramakrishnan, he lives with us. This is our teaching room in ICH, our teaching auditorium of the department. He is there with us in spirit always. That is his bust, which I had installed many years back. And he continues to guide us in every way. Hypospadias, coming to my pet topic, hypospadias, especially proximal hypospadias. By that I mean really proximal ones, the ones with the cleft scrotum and the ones with the perineoscrotal pseudovaginal hypospadias. That has been my passion and my mojo. I always do a single stage repair for these cases, and what works for me and what I do beyond hypospadias in my department is what will be the topic of this lecture. In 1989, when I finished my MBBS, I've been fortunate to be in the same institution throughout my life, Madras Medical College. I lived all my life in Chennai, and I entered as an MBBS student, left as an MCH student. So in 1989, when I finished my MBBS and I was waiting for a few months for my master's to kick in, I joined the plastic surgery department as a resident, as a paid resident. And the stalwarts there, they initiated me into plastic surgery, reconstruction. That's why I probably got my spark to do reconstructive urology later in life. I thank all these people who mentored me and helped me to improve my skills. Subsequently, I did my MS and MCH in ICH, with the Pediatric Institute of Madras Medical College. And it was a time, circa 1994, was a very bad time for hypospadiologists, for modern day hypospadiologists, because those were the days of staged repairs, fistulas, breakdowns, suprapubic diversions, retentions, dilatations, whatnot, and it was very depressing for a young faculty like me. And more so, there were people considered fistula to be part of a hypospadias result. And famously, some people used to say that hypospadias is fistula and fistula is hypospadias. Nothing would depress me more, and I sought to do something about it. And then I had an opportunity I was transferred to Stanley Medical College as an assistant professor of pediatric surgery in 96, where we didn't have access to internet in those days. We had to go to the library, refer some books, and then all those books in proximal hypospadias said you have to construct a tube around a PVC tube and then slide it down and suture thing. It didn't work for me. I felt it was very unphysiologic. And then I started experimenting with rotation flaps, stumbled onto a pedicle island flap. The initial results were quite hilarious. And then I serendipitously found out that this double-faced pedicle island flap taken from the dorsal prepucial skin. And then that's worked for me ever since. Two people helped me at this time. My chief in Stanley, for the primary reason I moved to Stanley, Professor Jayachandran, a giant of a person, a true Christian in the true sense of the word. Within 1 week of my joining there as assistant professor, He told me, come Will, you have been trained by Dayalan and company, Dayalan Prasad sir and all that. Your hands are too good. You should concentrate on Hypospadias repairs. We'll take up all the grunge work. Like for example, he will do the VP shunts, the club for the lips and palates, allowing me to concentrate on Hypospadias repair. I thank you. And he was a primary person due to which I had the time and the opportunity to work on these cases. My colleague at that time, my junior in medical college and MCH, my Dr. Soundapan, he is now a senior consultant at Westmead, Sydney. He was the colleague, who used to take off all my, made me concentrate on Hypospadias surgery while he would do all the grunge work in the department. Thank you, Soundapan. He couldn't be here today. In 1997, as I was doing these cases, myself and Soundapan, we found out that of 28 consecutive cases of proximal hypospadias we were surprised, pleasantly surprised. We didn't believe it. So only 6 had problems, required secondary procedures. 22 went out well. So we presented our result and that made me continue my work in single stage repair of proximal hypospadias. And then I came back in 1998, where I worked under all the people listed here have been personally trained by Professor Ramakrishnan, and beginning with Dr. Prasad. I think he is here. Professor Prasad, thank you, sir. He was my chief. He was my examiner. He was the person who gave me a license to do what I wanted. He wasn't that generous with the rest. He gave me the license. In those days, he allowed me to do a single-stage epispadias repair, single-stage hypospadias repair. I did even newborn. If you remember, newborn ARM single-stage pull-through in the newborn period within a few hours of life, even ligating the fistula. He said, Velmurugan, you can continue to do all this. I'm sure you please improve on it. Thank you so much, sir. He's here. Thank you so much. And my technique, what works for me. The next few slides, I'll tell you what works for me. I always do a double face transverse perputial tube flap for proximal hypospadias. The inner face becomes the tube, the outer face becomes the cover. I take whole skin ventrally and I don't separate the inner flap and the outer flap. I keep it as a composite flap. I have surprisingly good results. My age of surgery is something that works for me. The age at which I do is 1.5. I am very particular about doing it at 1.5 years of age because later you have all my problems have been with older patients who retain the urine after cortical control, after you remove the catheters. This age works best for me. And do I use testosterone? Most of you know that I don't use testosterone. I'm against the use of testosterone because they cause unnecessary tissue edema and vascularity and makes the repair difficult. I have been forced to do such cases where my colleagues have used them, and as a young faculty, I was forced to do. I never liked it. And the role of testosterone is only temporary. Okay, it works best when it is given along with the natural peaks between 0 to 3 months and 5 to 6 years, and again at adolescence. And those are the periods we don't do hypospadias anymore. And all my cases have a caudal epidural and indwelling catheter. I don't do them as an outpatient. They are inpatients with epidural drip going in for nearly 5 to 6 days. Now, marking, this I've chosen to show a proximal perineoscrotal hypospadias. See the wide marking. I plan to use the hairless skin around the pseudovagina and incorporate that into the repair. I use adrenaline always, 1 in 200,000 dilution. I have had no problems. I don't believe the penis is an end organ. It's got excellent anastomosis. And my results, my dissection planes are very good with adrenaline. And I don't use a tourniquet, by the way, never ever. And this is the incision. If you notice, when I take down the incision, I take a wide rim around the pseudovagina so that I can incorporate that into the repair. I don't use a tourniquet, as I said. I deglove the penis. See how easy it is. There is no bleeding even without a tourniquet. I am a surgeon who operates by feel. I go feel the bucks, enter the plane, and then cut it in a couple of strokes. As you can see, it's a bloodless plane. Yeah. And as I come down, you might have a couple of bleeds from the transverse-scrotal. And then as I come down, I ensure that I have a good, can you see that? Spongiosum backing the pseudovagina. I ensure that in the cut. Raising of the gland swings, again, you should see how bloodless this plane is. There is no tourniquet. I just go on the corona on feel and cut it as much as I want. I cut on the corpora, and this is the plane you get every single time. Yeah, I take it, meatus to the tip. And then even these, it's important to raise these glands so that they accommodate the terminal part of the neourethra. Coming to tubulating the urethral plate, see the pseudo-vagina which I have created, I suture it so that I get a couple of centimeters of length which I can incorporate. Otherwise, I'd have to do a 7 centimeter long tube in this particular case. My longest tube has been about 9 centimeters. I also do adult hypospadia single stage on request, much more difficult, but the technique will be exactly the same. So then it's time for measurements. I measure about, I have gained about 2 centimeters. I need another 5 centimeters more, which I'll take from the dorsal prepuce. Yeah. I can curve it if necessary. Suppose I want 7 centimeters there, I will curve the tube. Okay, so that I get an additional 2 centimeters. Here it is pretty simple. Creating the double face flap. Yeah. I mark it and take it as a composite flap. I use it both for the lining and the cover. I take as much as possible. I'm pretty greedy there. I'm not worried about the dorsal remnant prepucial skin. That penile skin, that will, even if it is short, it will correct any residual chordae if there is. I bring it down on the right-hand side usually. You've got a good flap and use it for a tube. I use a PDS non-locking suture. I am fast-forwarding it a little because my time is short. And then I construct a tube all the way up to the tip. To those of you who want to watch this, the youngsters, they are welcome to my department or the Child Trust. Yeah. I am prone to keep a large vertical slit as we normally have. I never have found out any use for having a round meatus completely covered by the glands. I just took a couple of gland stitches. The glands approximation, there will be only a couple of stitches there, which I hitch to the neomeatus. And then I tether the outer skin so that, I get a little space and then tether that to the corpora so that it covers the anastomosis. The anastomosis goes dorsally. Yeah, I tether it like that. And then, sorry for the spelling mistake, I correct the penoscrotal transposition, which is a pretty simple. I always do everything single. I correct everything at one go. And then I complete the penile cover. Suturing, it's very important to suture get the tunica down and suture the scrotal septum. Only then you'll get good prosmesis. I always use a 8F feeding tube for older children, and children where the penis is small, I use 7F. And it's a mild dressing, just bactigrass covered by a single half piece of gauze and micropore plaster. I don't believe in compression dressings or dynaplast. I never use dynaplast. I believe the tissue edema takes care of the snugness and the compression. It's a 4-point fixation, as you can see, so that, it doesn't come out like a cap when the edema settles. I always catheterize only for 7 days, or if I'm lazy, I can't go on the next Sunday, I do it on the 8th day. But however long the anastomosis is, I have not found any use for prolonged catheterization in these cases. Post-op analgesia, I said always there is an epidural infusion for 5 to 6 days. And my anesthetists, I have dedicated anesthetists in the government hospital. These two, Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Karthikeyan, are my anesthetists all my life for Hypospadias repairs. If they are not available, I don't do the case. And they are to a large extent responsible for my results. Follow-up, I look at chordae, stream, and all that as usual. Also, since I've been operating for a long time, I have an occasion, I have patients in their 30s who get back to me with their problems with potency and all that. Fertility, there are no issues with potency or settled saturation, but there are fertility issues in very proximal hypospadia, perineoscrotal variants. Almost all of them are infertile. I do the semen analysis, it shows abnormal forms. This is a boy. No, he's a man, he's 33 years old, he lives in Hyderabad, he's an IT professional. I've operated on him as a kid. Last Thursday, he messaged me because it also had Diwali also happened to my birthday. And just notice, he has said that I am living a happy sexual life, erection also good. Just before this oration, I got this message and I thought I will use it. I called him and I asked him whether I can use it for my talk. He even said, please share my name also, sir. I didn't do that. Takeaway message, it is reproducible. It is versatile and reproducible, meaning I'm not a boy wonder or a flash god and that I do it and nobody else can do it. As a leader, as a team leader, you should ensure that it is reproducible. In my department, at least 4 surgeons can get results almost as good as I do, or sometimes even better. That means it is reproducible. We have trained people who can do this, and our PGs are here. We can ask them. It is technique demanding, yes, but there are no complications, extended long-term results. I always believe, I practice yoga, and I always felt that, yoga being mind control of the body, a Hypospadias surgeon is performs the highest form of yoga. It requires immense physical and mental strength. I don't even change my field of vision throughout the 3.5, 4 hours. It has given me a stiff neck, but it's worth the effort. My numbers, this was assessed by a surgeon in UK in 2019. I asked him to assess 10 years after the last case. Till 2009, I had done 910 cases of proximal hypospadias in the government sector and 147 cases. In the next 10 years, from 2009 to 2019, I have done a little more, but more than 50% of that has been in the private sector and Child Trust Hospital. And the complications till 2009, till assessed at 2019, have been 7 cases of fistula, 1 flap breakdown, and 1 stricture. In the next 10 years, between 2009 and 19, I have had 4 more cases of fistula, 1 more case of a flap breakdown, and unfortunately that happened only last month in my private case, and another case of stricture 3 years back during the COVID time. So I have a total of 14 out of the few thousands. I have got 14 cases of reoperations only. None of my cases undergo routine calibration. 3 of my cases I had to calibrate the tip only because I thought it might go in for a fistula. It was a little tight. That's it. God and the devil are the details. Every case you have to take care of the small things, as I have to tell my residents. The big things will take care of themselves. This is my team. It's a great team, all of them have been my postgraduates. All of them are now senior assistant professors. One of them, Saravanan, to my left, has been with me till 2007-8. He assists me in almost all my private cases till of late, and he now heads a unit. And the one on my left is Rohit Gopinath, my right hand in the department. The other guy to Saravanan's left is Dr. Anirudhan, a very senior surgeon, and Dr. Vijayaraj, who has joined us a couple of years back. All of them are excellent Hypospadias surgeons, and I'm proud of a team I have created. And I always feel that, a surgeon is only as good as his last case. Last September when I had this flap breakdown on one side, I was pretty depressed for nearly 15 days. I thought I had escaped this year. Last year, I had a fistula, beginning of 2023, a small fistula, which I repaired subsequently. And you have to put in the hard yards. You don't own success. You'll have to pay the rent every day. And that's by working hard on each and every case you do. I have created parent support groups. That's for another day. I thank everybody, including my residents, from whom I learned surreptitiously. A lot of techniques I picked up from Professor Sriniraj, without him even noticing that. I used to watch him. His tissue handling is fantastic. I bow deeply in gratitude to all of them. Beyond Hypospadias, I think I have got 10 minutes. Beyond Hypospadias, as I grew up as a young faculty, I had a lot of pet peeves, which I thought I should change. One was the academic atmosphere. Nothing to berate people who were at those times, but then that was a period of relative poverty in the department and elsewhere the country. We didn't have good restrooms, we didn't have good washrooms, or any washrooms for that matter. I had certain priorities. I was pushed into leadership roles 15 years back when I became professor, and then I thought, whatever were my peeves, whatever I thought were the deficiencies, I should address them. One was to create a very good academic milieu in the department. Second was, there are a lot of departments where they say it is toxic, the senior residents trouble the junior, the assistants trouble, the assistant trouble the thing. Nothing of that sort happens here. It's like party time in my department. You can cross-check with my residents, privately of course. Establishing infrastructure. You see, it is not just working hard. You'll have to create wards, you'll have to create men, material for the same, and then to understand in the government hospital, to understand the scale of operations at Madras Medical College. We do in the month of September, I don't have the October statistics, I just checked, 659 major surgeries were done by the under GA anesthesia was given in the month of September. 659 majors were done. I'm not counting the minor procedures. To do that and to ensure a seamless consumable supply and logistic for the same is a huge task. I think I felt I should address that and streamline that. Patient services, bathrooms, restrooms, places where they can sit and eat. Those were also, I thought, very important. Extension services. You treat and send the patient home, but what happens? Who calls them back for a review? I have created a system where we have ward managers and social workers who call them back, give them transport if necessary, and that has improved our accessibility to the community. About cordial academics, other than the atmosphere, I have, me and even my previous HOD, we jointly created a teaching auditorium, air-conditioned resident room. That was my pet project for all residents, locker facilities, washrooms, every unit in my department. We have 5 units. I have got a separate Wi-Fi, high-speed Hathway connectivity. There's extensive computerization, PAX connectivity. We have ward managers to help the residents prepare. They only prepare the discharge summaries. My residents have to just okay them. We do have a digital library. And there have been 2 game changers in my tenure. One is the state insurance. Imagine we are in government, those who are in the government sector will understand that funds do not easily flow down to a department. It goes to the director of medical education. He allots it to the medical college. The dean allots a certain amount to the the Institute of Child Health, and then the Department of Pediatric Surgery gets a trickle of that. So you have to run 180 beds with that trickle. That was a big problem. What my seniors didn't have and what I had was the state insurance schemes, which started in 2009 and streamlined about for 10 years back. We for every state patient which we operate and which are eligible for insurance, the department gets 40% of the amount as consumable fund from which I can use for my infrastructure and consumables. I have created wards, facilities, etc. with that money. Even the bathrooms, they are anti-skid tiles, they're better than ones I have at home. I get to run this large logistics, we get the consumables of choice. For example, our PGs are used to, and my faculty used to 6.0 PDS, skin staplers, Mickey buttons, the best of VP shunts, name anything, it is available. I have tendered it and created a process where they can be bought on tender. We get the equipment of choice. Though we are restricted by the L1 stipulation in all government tenders, it is up to us as heads of department to put in the specifications. Like I will insist on European CE standards, only then few people like Irby or Valley Lab can participate in that tender. In that way, we have got the equipment of a child. So much so, we have about ICH, Department of Pediatric Surgery, there are 10 operating tables functioning full-time. 2 surgical newborn, 2 emergency theaters, and 6 elective theaters with dedicated anesthetists. They do only pediatric anesthesia, they're posted to us all the time. They don't go to the main college. Now, with that, almost all tables have got good laparoscopes, some of them high HD laparoscope sets. Emergency theaters are equipped with C-arms, cystoscope set, and laparoscope set. I'm getting the second laparoscope set in the emergency theater. There's a seamless work 24 hours which goes on. Otherwise, we can't do. Another important aspect is the contract workers. With the money we generate, we hire contract workers, sweepers, security men, theater technicians, ward managers. I have the freedom to hire and fire people, and that has worked wonders for our department. The second game changer is my partnership with non-government organizations and voluntary agencies and charitable individuals who are charitably bent. You see, I have lived all my life in Chennai, and I have managed, you generate some goodwill by working so many years in the same place, even in private practice. So I have channelized that goodwill and those contacts. My friends are now leaders of industry. I got it. I thought, why don't we use it for the benefit of the department? 2 major agencies have been Lions Club and Rotary. Rotary is much bigger in terms of reach and funds. And to give you an example, they have done a lot of projects for us. Last year in April or March, we got a a donation of 83,000 US dollars. It was pretty easy. A relative was a governor somewhere. He partnered with somebody, a friend in Maryland Rotary, and he was also a pediatrician there. And then we got in 83,000 US dollars, worked out to 74 lakhs. I insisted they not give the money, but transfer the equipment to us with the AMC for 5 years each. You'll have to look at the nitty-gritty. God is in the details. And that is how I got ultrasound, ultrasound machine there, and the best for my department, laparoscopic surgical equipments, etc. Then the other route is corporate social response, CSR funding. How do we get a CSR funding for the department? I got a CSR number for our institute. Got it, we didn't have. We had to go to the main medical college. Now the corporates are very, they love to give to private organizations. They give an ambulance. Even today they are willing to give 2 or 3 ambulances to my department. But what about the diesel? What about the salaries to the drivers and the how do I arrange their duty shifts and how many drivers should I employ? So I insist on equipment from these CSR. There are so many people, they don't know what to do with the CSR funds. It's up to us to tap it as leaders of our units. And to give an example, this is a Surgerix, one of the best theatre light Surgerix. They are gesture control, meaning with the hand gestures, you can control the focus, the intensity, and the light, either white light or yellow light, blue light, etc. So that is possible through CSR funding. They have a camera provision in the center. If you notice, the machines are all data Omeda workstations. And another big donor for us, a big thanks to CanKids. This is a national organization with which I have worked closely. I have even created an MOU with them between CanKids, the department, and the government of Tamil Nadu, so that they have given me full-time, last 6 years, full-time social worker, a teacher who teaches the patients while, when their school education is affected. They are all full-time staff, psychologist, dietitian, etc. And not only this, they are there for me. For a cancer patient, before we had PET scanner institute 3 years back, they used to fund a med scan. If I want a molecular study, they will fund it. If they want a translocation study, they will send it to Bombay and wherever it is done and get it done for me free of charge. And we also run 2 home away from homes in Chennai. This building is in T Nagar, the busiest commercial district of Chennai, and another one is at Madurai. We have a total of 40 beds. Each family is allotted a room, and a patient need not go back to its home. The hometown is more than 100 kilometers away. We offer them these rooms so that they can come back a week later. We offer stay up to 1 month here. We provide dry rations to them. There's a functioning kitchen with a gas connection and all that. And also there are 2 dedicated auto rickshaws only to transport these kids to and from the hospital. Okay. And 2 other foundations, Ekam Foundation and the Arrow Foundation, they give us staff. I've talked with them. They have given us physician assistants at a salary of 28,000, dedicated BSc nursing staff. Our chemotherapy ward is run by only 2 staff nurses who are privately hired, and the salaries are paid by them, so that there's a continuity of care to those patients. Ekam Foundation, for the past 12 years, they are giving about salaries to 6 theatre technicians hired privately by us. And the Golden Butterflies is relatively new. They do a lot of work. It's nothing like, even last week I said I need a split to 2-ton AC. I don't have my PWD is not giving it. Okay. And in 6 hours I got a 2-ton AC delivered to my room. And they do a lot of work. That's this Mrs. Stella. And meal program, something very close to my heart. The government provides food for the children, but what about the parents and the attenders? I have a long-term meal program going. Many of it is my initiative, one of which is a group run by 6 people. The other one is my wife, and 4 others, my friends from school. We run a lunch program for 100 home-packed lunches are given, and every day. We have been doing it since 2019 August, and God has been kind to give us the resources to continue it so far, even during COVID time, even during the curfew, even on Sundays and government holidays is delivered to the patients and the attenders. Then other than that, we have lot of these feeding programs from private donors. Sankalp Foundation, started by T.N. Seshan sir, and Diwali, usually Diwali or any function, I call these people, and dresses are distributed to children. When we are in the mood, we have a lot of chocolates in our department. Our department is usually stuffed full of chocolates and other things, Horlicks bottles, all this donated by various individuals asking us, sir, please give it to your staff. They are doing such a great job. And these are dry rations given to our health workers. That was pre-Diwali. This gives them in a happy mood. They, comply with anything I ask them out of their duty hours. It helps that. This is a very interesting foundation which I work with, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Twice a year, they come to me and take a list of wishes from their children, any child. They go to the wards, and then even if previously children were asking bats and balls, nowadays they are asking, if you see, powered motorcycles, powered cars, powered helicopters, and all that. It is given. They are donors for that. And you can also, if there's a child asking for a particular thing, I call them, they give it even in between. So I also believe that not once a child dies for whatever reason in the hospital, there should be dignity in death as in life. So this is something I shouldn't say I'm proud of, but I am very happy that we arrange money to transport them home. Recently, a patient from CMC Vellore died en route in Chennai. It came to a hospital, and then I had to transport the child to Siliguri. They were to that airport there, Darjeeling Airport, Badogra. We had 5 attenders, and I spoke to Indigo through these NGOs and a coffin, and the whole amount was raised in 1.5 hours flat. And the child went. We also give a few thousand rupees for funeral expenses for every child who dies in the department. It mitigates their sorrow to some extent because most of them are very poor, coming from neighboring states. These are things I'm very proud about. My thanks to Professor Ravi Kumar, who has always been, though he's in Coimbatore, he calls me now and then and checks on what I am doing. He encourages me. He actually wanted me to write a paper on my non-surgical activities in the department. I'll do it, sir, sometime in future. Professor Ramesh, who's my junior in MCH, he has been a long-term traveler with me. We bounce ideas of each other. Thank you, Ramesh, for always being there. My family, my greatest pillar of support. I should start with my mother, an obstetrician, who was my first surgical teacher, who taught me suturing on Ogilvy's. I started insanely young. I can't say it here. And my uncle, who was the professor of surgery, maternal uncle, Madras Medical College, and I got my inspiration to do surgery because of him. My children, my wife, she is the professor of and head of pediatrics at the institute where I work at Madras Medical College. She is now the director. I report to her, basically, both at home and in the hospital. And she has seen to it that I don't think of anything other than my government work and my private practice. Nothing. Everything is taken care of. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. The guy on my right is one of my twins, who's a orthopedic surgeon. He's busy in private practice. The one on my right is my pride. Here, this side, Vignesh. He's now a budding pediatric surgeon. He's working in my department as a resident. Both are brilliant guys. They never got, they never asked for any time or finances from me. They came through the government stream. I never had to spend a pie on them for my education. Now, one of them is married, and now I am a grandfather today. I thank all of them, my family, for having taken all the stress of a routine family life and, allowing me to concentrate on my craft. And my son, who's now, who took up, despite a very high rank in NEET SS last November, he, to my surprise, I thought he would take surgical GE. To my surprise, he said he was adamant about taking pediatric surgery, that too, in ICH in my department. I hope with all your blessings, he turns out to be a good person and a surgeon. This is one, I'll finish with this last slide. See, a movie early in my life, about 31 years back, affected me a lot. It was Schindler's List by, I don't know how many of you have seen that, by Steven Spielberg. Please do see that movie. I don't know whether it's available on Netflix or elsewhere. The last scene in that movie is extremely moving. Here is Oscar Schindler, played by the brilliant Liam Neeson. He says he is a person, as a German, who saved a lot of Jews from the concentration camps. And when the war ends, he is the hunted. The Jews, his employees, who he has saved all these years, put them into a car and ask him to escape that place. As he gets into the car, he breaks down. He says, I didn't do enough. I could have saved more Jews. It has been my endeavor in all these 30 years, and whenever I enter the government hospital, I always feel, have I done enough today? Have I do this thing? I shouldn't have the regret on the day when I retire that I didn't do enough. And that is what I would like most of you. Please try to avoid that regret that I didn't do enough. Thank you so much. My final thanks, and the biggest, is to my institute, Madras Medical College, the Institute of Child Health, the parents, the children who subjected themselves to surgery under me, the staff, the doctors, the paramedics who have their support and help has brought me to the stage here. Thank you so much.